Gamers are used to overcoming obstacles, pressing on in the face of adversity, and overcoming insurmountable odds. That's how I beat Dark Souls.
You never beat Dark Souls.
Yeah, but I reckon I could, and that's basically the same thing. But every so often there comes a moment in otherwise good or popular games where things are suddenly so tedious, or hard, or scary, or unpleasant that they make you go, you know what, F this game. So now let's hear from these folks about the moments in video games that made us go, screw this, you know what, I'm gonna go, I don't know, take a walk. Outdoors. Look what you made me do, game. Oh, and thanks to the original Reddit thread that inspired this video.
The moment I want to talk about first is from Friday the 13th, the video game, and it is that interminable, unskippable studio logo at the start of the game.
Can we watch it?
If we have to.
Long.
Yeah, it was. Super long,
How many
long.
times would you say you'd like to watch that?
Oh, well, maybe twice at best. Twice at tops, maybe. But the thing is, Friday the 13th, in theory, is a great game. When it works, it's brilliant. You're either Jason, and you're walking around, like, smashing through doors and throwing people into coat hooks, or you're playing as a counsellor, and it's really tense, and you're going through drawers trying to find things, and you're like, yes, I've got a flare gun. Finally, I can escape from Jason when he catches me, and this is great. I've called the police, I'm hiding under a bed. You're having a brilliant time.
Jason Voorhees has returned. He's killing my friends. We need him. Oh my god!
But the launch of the game was super plagued with technical problems.
On console?
Yeah, on console. Yeah. I was having some real glitch problems. I mean, we've got a famous example of when we were playing Friday the 13th, and I was playing as Jason, smashed my way through a door, and then I was just stood there, unable to move, while I was sexily danced at by a man in leopard print pants.
He's unlocked the door!
Unlocked the door!
No!
No! Oh my goodness.
He wanted me to get a better view.
There we go, the unstoppable killing machine that is Jason Voorhees there, mesmerised and unable to move. The problem I was having more than anyone else I knew was the game would crash for me a lot and boot me out of the game. I was playing a lot with Mike and Jane, and we'd be in games together, and they would be fine, but I would always be booted back to the desktop, and I'd have to restart the game in order to get back into a game with them. Because of the 80s VHS stylings of Friday the 13th, which are cool, don't get me wrong, they're very cool. They had a studio logo for Ilphonic and Gun Studios. You had to watch every time they loaded up the game, and it was so long. And I was like, okay, I appreciate what you've done with the VHS effects and the music, and it's all like glitchy and stuff, and that's cool, but it's so long, and I just want to get back into the game. And every time I watch through this, the game crashes again, and I have to watch it again. And I've seen that thing, I estimate, 30,000 times.
How did it go?
Da, 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 and then the swirl, and then silence, and then brrr, and then finally you get the do do do, and you're like, right, fine, now I can get back into the game. But those were all the sounds that you'll have to sit through. Yeah, it took me a long time to learn how to love that game again. I have been back to it since, and I think now that they have actually put in the option, they've patched it in to skip the studio logo. Yeah, they fixed a lot of problems with that game, and it's a good time, but seriously, that was just, couldn't watch that logo anymore. Couldn't do it. Sorry, Friday the 13th.
The nightmare was always the same. Violent shapes moving in darkness, old and ugly. The killer's mad laughter was a riddle filled with wicked innuendo.
So first things first, Max Payne 1, all right, is a phenomenal game, one of my favourites, and I did eventually get around to finishing it, but I was quite little at the time, maybe too little, and the moment that freaked me right out and made me run away from my PC and hide behind the sofa probably was the nightmare sequence where Max Payne has to walk this blood tightrope through a darkened infinite void while his nightmares of his dead baby cry all around him through your headphones. And every time you fall off. Now, I was trying to look this up a minute ago and I couldn't find anyone actually dying on this point, so presumably I was the only one like cack-handed enough to keep falling off the blood tightrope. But in my memory, every time Max Payne fell off that blood tightrope, there was just this elongated scream. Did I imagine that? Did that really happen? In my mind, it was so upsetting and unnerving, and a really weirdly effective horror bit in what wasn't up until that point really a horror game. It spanned my head. It threw me so hard, and I was like, no, 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 no. See you in 3 years, Max Payne. The other issue, actually, coming back to it, wasn't just the scariness, although I'd love to say it was. It was also how the tightrope felt like it was 5 pixels across, and Max Payne, with the best will in the world, handles like a shopping trolley that can also do bullet dive. Yeah, you have to shuffle him along, but he hasn't got like the finest control, like physically, so you're trying to walk this extremely narrow tightrope in a very, very dark nightmare void, and every time you edge off it, which is, you know, fairly regularly, you get this horrible screaming experience added to the general ambience of baby nightmare. The combination of the mechanical fiddliness and the extreme terror that somehow never ebbed away, that those things together made that the moment in Max Payne where I was like, do you know what? I think when I finally came back to it and did it, I just did it by, like, I took all the like cinematic drama out of it and just like press forward, a little bit forward, little bit forward. I'm sorry your baby died. I'm sorry that you have to have this weird blood maze nightmare. It was really effective, but yeah, it was hard and scary.
I thought it would just be you coming, Takamaki-san.
Wouldn't you get nervous too, if it was just the two of us?
We're here to keep an eye on you, so don't try anything perverted, okay?
Persona 5, the point where Yusuke joins the party. Okay, how to explain Persona 5? To explain Persona 5 in a sentence, okay, you are a gang of cool kids who invade the subconsciousnesses, I guess is the best way of explaining it, of bad people to like invade their mind and like destroy the bad element that's making them do bad things so that it stops them being so evil in the real world. There's a lot of stuff that I loved about Persona 5. I really liked the combat. I'm not saying something because I am not someone who really goes in for turn-based combat very often. I'm not a fan of those like incredibly lengthy JRPGs, but I thought maybe this will be the time to give it a go. And there was so much stuff that I liked. The art style is one of the most beautiful games I've played ever. The music has got to be some of the best I've ever heard. Not just in video games, it's amazing. Like here's a little bit. It's amazing. So as you go through the game, which again is incredibly long, by this point I'm on the second palace and I'm trying to take down this bad dude who's like an artist, but actually what you find out, spoiler alert, is that he is counterfeiting. He's stealing his students' artwork and passing it off as his own, which is a very bad thing to do. And he's got this this student who is this guy, Yusuke.
Come now, I'll show you around. I'd like to speak more about the picture I'd like to draw too.
So basically your little gang decides that the best way to get inside the head of this like bad artist is by using Yusuke to get like inside his actual workshop. So like an actual kind of entry, they've got to do spy stuff. It's a little bit like a heist movie, the Persona 5. But the way that pans out as happening is it turns out that Yusuke is a huge fan of Anne, who is the first female member of your party in the game, and he is desperate to paint her. So you go along with this, like fine, yes, that seems fine, and he's painting her and he's like, man, I'm sorry, it's just not working. I'm sorry guys, this is not working for me. It's gonna have to be nude.
I will put my heart and soul into creating the best nude painting ever.
He's high school.
Yeah, they're kind of high school students, yeah. So Anne is like, I don't want to be in a nude painting, which is a fair perspective to have on that situation.
The way he said it, it's not gonna be semi, but full on nude.
The other members of the gang are like, well, it might be the only way that we can get like the intel or something, and so Anne's like, oh, I kind of want to, and Yusuke's like, hey, I'm gonna report you all unless this nude painting thing goes ahead. So everyone's like, no, Anne, you should probably do it. You should probably do the nude painting that you're not really that keen on doing. And so Anne's like, okay. So then Anne goes in to do the nude painting, and the plan is that she'll go in and like basically stall for time, so she doesn't have to actually go through with it, while like the rest of the gang infiltrate elsewhere and like get whatever thing they need to get. So Anne walks in wearing like all the clothes. It's like that bit in Friends where Joey walks in wearing all the clothes, and it's kind of a comedy beat. Like she walks in kind of wearing like all these jumpers, and it's like, whoa! And Yusuke's like, did you put on weight? And you know, Anne, who I would say is sort of fairly obviously not having an amazing time, is basically just trying to stall for time, trying to make this like nude painting thing not happen. And meanwhile, Yusuke is like, I can't wait to apply my artistic endeavors to this nude portrait. So basically, Yusuke is giving me kind of like seedy vibes, and I'm not really like digging him as a character.
No, I'm doing this for art.
In the end, the painting doesn't have to happen, which is good because they get the info before it gets to that point, and then you go into the palace of this bad artist. Yusuke, who is a student who is having a hard time himself. He is, you know, he's being very much taken advantage of by the artist who is his master. And Yusuke gets involved as well, and he basically joins the party. And that was the point at which I was like, oh man, I didn't want this guy in my party. I was sort of all right with him being like a plot point. I was kind of like muscling through that. I was like, okay, we have to like trick this guy or whatever with this whole nude painting gambit to like get the secrets we need from the workshop. But then when he joins the party, I was like, oh, I don't want to hang out with him loads and loads. And the thing is, with Persona 5, because the game is so staggeringly long, if there is a point where you're kind of not really feeling it, or if there's a section where you're like, oh, I'm not really into this, because the game is so staggeringly long, that could genuinely be 10 hours of gameplay, like several evenings worth of playing video games that you kind of have to sit through. And so when Yusuke joined the party, I was like, no, I'm out. And it's a shame because, you know, I had by that point invested quite a lot of time in Persona 5. And I was enjoying quite a lot of it, but just this character just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't get on with him at all, didn't find him sympathetic or likable, and in a game where you have to spend so much time with the characters, I do think that's a big deal. So for me, that's the point where I was out. I did do some looking up on the wikis afterwards, and I think like maybe later on he has some like redemptive stuff, he has some sort of funny moments or stuff like that, but for me, after that, I just didn't have the energy to muscle through with it. So, Yusuke, you made me quit Persona 5. And I don't like your fox mask either.
What's going on? Steve!
Let me talk to you about Resident Evil Code Veronica, which is both my favourite and least favourite Resident Evil game. I love it because I love the atmosphere, I love the kind of Island of Dr. Moreau sort of vibe that's got going on, and I really like playing as Claire Redfield. It's very cool, and it was the first one on the Dreamcast, so it looked amazing at the time. The only problem is, when the game gives you a grenade launcher, it expects you not to use that grenade launcher, and if you know me, you know you put a grenade launcher in my hands, I'm going to be using it. So basically, you got the grenade launcher partway through the game, and there was a few bits of ammo through sort of zombie-infested bits. So through a combination of sort of avoiding zombie-infested bits because zombies, and also using the ammo against some of the tougher enemies, I found myself in a situation where you get to this sort of walkway, sort of late in the game, and all of a sudden, in typical Resident Evil style, the nastiest enemy in the game pops out, and you're basically funneled into a corridor. You've got nowhere to move. I mean, movement in those old Resident Evil games isn't great at the best of times, but this was literally, you were penned in this corridor with this advancing enemy, and if you didn't have the grenade launcher ammo, you basically didn't have enough ammo to take this guy out. So I found myself in the ludicrous situation of facing the most difficult enemy in the game with just a knife, and I'm pretty confident it is impossible, because anytime you get close to them, they just swipe your head off. I'm there sort of desperately trying to stick this guy with my little combat knife as he smashes my face clean off. And obviously it being Resident Evil and saves being limited and things like that, all I had was one save right in front of that moment. So that game was done for me, and I genuinely have never gone back and completed it. I understand there's all sorts of exciting things later, like Arctic bases, and there's an entire base underwater. Never saw it. Never saw it in that game I spent all of my pocket money on for my brand new PS2. God damn you, Capcom. I guess it's partly my own fault for being a massive coward and not venturing into the more zombie-infested areas to get even more ammo. But really, I think if you give me flamethrower grenade round things, I'm going to end up using them just to see what they look like, to be honest. And yeah, all right, I could have replayed the game all the way through, but then I would have had to sit through all those Steve Burnside cutscenes, and he's really annoying.
I love you, Claire.
I want you to air out these books.
Air out the books? Me?
Who else?
I thought you were going to tell me about young Dazu.
I put you up for the night, didn't I?
All right. I guess I have to.
Did I hear something?
No.
Hey now, no one is saying Shenmue 2 isn't a bloody classic that set all new kinds of standards and blazed all these trails and broke all this ground, but we will never finish it because Shenmue 2, we got completely stuck and narked at the bit where you have to air out all these books at a temple for some monk who won't help you find your dad's killer because you keep dropping his ancient books.
Oh, double quick time.
He looks so confused.
Who can't carry a pile of books 4 feet?
We had a hell of a time making money, and we were always in debt to the guy running our B&B. It was pretty stressful actually. Now that I come to think about it, playing Lucky Hit all the time, and we were so unlucky. Unlucky Hit, more like.
Lucky Hits.
It's looking lucky.
No. It really all came to a head, and the moment that made us go, screw you, video game, we quit and snapped the disc in half and threw it out the window. I've been thinking about this, like, surely old books need to be kept somewhere dry and dark, not out in the sunshine where they're gonna get like bleached and blown away. And I question your conservation methods, Temple. Anyway, he's like, take these books outside and let them air out, because sure, that's how book preservation works.
You couldn't. No, because it's stupid.
I'm sorry.
Well, we'll.
No! Ryu never learns to take one book at a time, right? So this is sort of on Rio, and he takes a giant stack of books and then is really ungainly. He's wobbly, like a really frightened horse on ice skates, and he goes out and then it begins. And when I say it's a really unfair, really terrible quick time event sequence where you have to respond to button prompts with lightning fast reflexes. Oreo completely stacks it and drops this pile of precious, priceless monk books all over the floor.
Pressed it.
That's the one. Oh no! I'm having flashbacks from that very, very bad sequence. So yeah, the real kicker in that bit is that you can't just keep trying it until eventually you brute force it and you're having a good day and your reflexes are all great and you succeed in this BS quick time event sequence. Because if you fail to stack enough books in a time limit, you actually that's it, you failed. You have to go away, go back to your B&B, sleep on it, think about what you've done and come back and do it again. We even looked for workarounds or cheats or someone else must have come up against the same problem, but seemingly everyone else just had more patience than we did with bloody balancing book man Rio.
May have some fundamental coordination problems that will prevent him from ever being a
He's got like an inner ear infection that's messing with his balance.
Put it down.
That's the way to go.
Thanks.
And that was a bottleneck at which we were like, nope, Shenmue 2, whatever happens, I assume you find your father's killer and that's it. And that's why there's no Shenmue 3, because you find your father's killer at the end of Shenmue 2. You tell me, internet, I have no idea, because I won't ever finish Shenmue 2.
But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
So you have come this far, and still you understand nothing. Every light must fade. Every heart return to darkness.
I want to talk about one of the many boss battles in Kingdom Hearts 1, but I played 1.5, which just made me go, nope. And I just left it and went straight on to Kingdom Hearts 2. And that was one of the final battles with Ansem.
All worlds begin in darkness, and all so end. The heart is no different.
Ansem is, that's not just me saying handsome, but in a London accent. Oh, he's really handsome. But no, he's like one of the antagonists in the game. You finally get to like a weird warped version of Destiny Islands where you start off the game and he's there and you have a fight on the beach. There's me and my pals Donald and Goofy just wailing away at him, and it was a fairly tricky fight. There's some like kind of moves that I found difficult to avoid and it was just a bit annoying, but I finally did it. It only took me a couple of tries and I got it and it was fine. Then, the only reason, like when you actually finally get that last hit and it all goes all slow-mo, he runs off. And you're like, what are you doing running away? And he runs off and like creates this weird bit with darkness and heartless and you're like, right, I've got to go over there. And you walk through into this really creepy bit. And then, you know your two pals, Donald and Goofy, who have been accompanying Sora throughout this whole game, who you have been investing in, making sure they have the best staff and shield possible. Yeah, right, they get cut off from you. Ow! So instead of having like your backup who like can throw healing items at you, like they're cut off. This then opens up into this battle where you're fighting a big Heartless, which you sort of fought at the beginning of the game, and it's like, oh, it's all cyclical and clever. And then when you finally beat that thing and you feel really good about yourself, Ansem comes back and just is the worst. Like in the Destiny Island weird battle, he's got like this guardian thing and you can't really attack him while it's up. He's also got a shield, but in this one as well, he also like shoots at you really fast, as in he's in the shield ball and then just like vroom at you. And if you lock onto him, which you can do, it just means your camera kind of goes all over the place. But if you don't lock onto him, it means you're standing there and then suddenly from off camera, he just comes in and just hits you, takes out a load of your health, and you're like, no, this is not fair. But then I just got taken out and it was really annoying and I was like, right, fine, okay, I'm gonna have to start again. And it loads up again when you're outside with Donald and Goofy again. And I'm like, what? So you have to fight the big darkness monster again before you even get through to fighting Ansem again. And so you're basically having to do two kind of lengthy-ish boss battles alone, and it's really, really, really annoying.
So what did you do?
So what I did is I got grumpy and quit and just played Kingdom Hearts 2 instead. Although I don't have it as bad as people who played the game when it originally came out, because for them, they couldn't skip the cutscenes. And there's a very long cutscene in certain parts. In my Kingdom Hearts world, Sora got stuck there for ages and then just jumped into the Pride Rock. It's great.
Nah, baby. It's good to see you. Yeah, you too. Jason Hudson, CIA. Thank you for your time, Sergeant.
I would like to talk about Call of Duty Black Ops, which is a very popular Call of Duty game. Everyone loves it, but everyone seems to have forgotten that it has the worst bit of video game design possibly ever, and I suspect I'm not in the minority when I just basically dropped the controller and went and played multiplayer instead. It is the Vietnam level. Obviously Vietnam is a war, you might have heard of it, so it's very, very noisy and chaotic, right? And it does a very good job of being noisy and chaotic. The problem is when something's noisy and chaotic, you don't always hear the instructions you're being given. So you're following Woods around, he's your buddy, he's your sort of commanding officer as well, general hero guy, and you get to this enormous field full of enemies, explosions everywhere, bullets, everything's going on, and somewhere in the middle of that, Woods gives you some instructions, and they sound like this. Sorry, what was that, Woods? Could you repeat that? No, still didn't get it. And I don't think anyone did, because essentially what he was telling you to do was stab some barrels with your melee weapon that are full of napalm and kick them down a hill at the bad guys.
He's not even telling you that. He's just like, barrels.
Yeah, he's like, barrels and napalm are words you might have heard, perhaps.
So you spend maybe 20 minutes trying to shoot the barrels.
Right, yeah, so you can't shoot them, you have to melee them. It's this extremely sort of convoluted thing where he stabs the barrel, rubs the knife across it to create a spark so it sets fire to it, which seems extremely dangerous to me, and then kicks them down the hill at the bad guys. This would all be less of a pain were it not in an area that is full of respawning enemies. So you're constantly under siege trying to work out what you're doing, and if you missed those orders the first time around, you're just going to be shooting enemies forever, indefinitely. They just keep coming. They just keep coming.
They're by the trench line.
Which would be bad if you were ever going to run out of ammo, say, and get killed. That would be not fine, but not as bad as also providing mounted machine guns with infinite ammo. So in theory, you could be there forever on the mounted machine gun, never running out of ammo, but also never running out of bad guys to shoot.
Someone might still be doing it.
I feel like somewhere in the world, someone is still playing that level. It's a 15-minute Call of Duty level. I mean, the campaign was 4 hours long, for pity's sake. But someone could still be there, unloading bullets into endless swarms of the Viet Cong. Yeah, nearly there. But sometime the game's going to tell me what to do.
Pass him! At the touchline! I hear you. He's dead.
And, you know, this could have been so easily solved with just a bit of, like, UI to go, here, stab these barrels. I mean, for the rest of the level, Woods has his, like, follow me thing hovering above his head. Totally unnecessary, ruining the immersion, and yet they couldn't just put a little marker on the barrels. Awful. But the first Black Ops, everyone's forgotten. Everyone's got short memories in Call of Duty land. Not me. I'm a grizzled veteran of the Call of Duty wars.
You weren't there, man.
You weren't there, man. You haven't seen the things I've seen.
What's going on? That's my blood. That's my blood. It's a lot of my blood.
I know this is ostensibly an Xbox channel, but I love PlayStation. I love PlayStation games, and some of my favourite PlayStation exclusive games are the Uncharted games. The recent Uncharted games. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Uncharted 2. I'm looking at you. Uncharted 1 was fine. It was a bit meh, but you know, I played it and I finished it, and that was all okay. And then I played Uncharted 2, and I reached a point in it where I was doing my 800th identical gunfight with people hiding behind waist-high walls, And I was just like, you know what, this game. And I've never finished Uncharted 2. I've never gone back to it after that. The thing was, the game starts off with Nathan Drake hanging on a dangling train that's gone over a cliff edge, and you're hanging there, you're like, wow, this is super cool and exciting. And then it's like sometime earlier, and you're like, okay, so I'm gonna play back and get to the train bit, and then, then we're gonna see how that all winds up. And getting to that point, you have to spend so much time hiding behind walls or like crouching behind cover and shooting people, and it's just all the time, it's just these identical gunfights that just go on and on and on. And I was like, man, I really wish I were doing more exciting stuff that wasn't just endless identical gunfights. But once we get to the train bit, like I know that there's gonna be like, I've got a mountain and it's gonna be very exciting Indiana Jones stuff, so I'm like, I'm gonna tough it out, I'm gonna carry on going. I know that train bit's coming, so that's something to look forward to when I get there. Got back to the train bit, and I was like, cool, climb out of the train, let's see what's waiting for me. Like, I've been looking forward to this for ages. Run into the train yard, and everyone runs in and then goes behind waist-high walls, and I have to have an identical gunfight with them. And I was like, okay.
He's alive!
They've fixed this in like recent Uncharted games. There's a lot more varied. Like Uncharted 4 was a masterpiece, but Uncharted 2, and everyone was telling me like Uncharted 2 is amazing. It's this big Indiana Jones style adventure, and I was like, great, can't wait to play it. And then it was just kind of a generic cover-based shooter, which is not what I kind of expected or wanted from Uncharted. I found it slightly disappointing. But the rest of the games have been great. They've learned from it, so I think they learned their lesson. It's just I remember so specifically that being the point where I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to play any more of this game. I just do not have any interest in doing this anymore.
You assholes are gonna make me miss my train!
Like, I like the climbing around, the puzzles are really good. Nolan North is great, he's so charming. Nathan Drake is a great character. It's just, there was so little of that, and so very much of shooting people in cover, which that's not the game that I wanted to play. And when it got to that point, when I'd got past the bit that I knew was the sort of the flashback point, that I was like, okay, this game isn't gonna change, this is what the game is, and that's the point where I said, you know what, f this game.
Guess that answers that question.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Do let us know in the comments those moments that made you go F this noise. And while you're thinking about that, if you'd like to watch another video, up here we have one that is about times we made the game harder for ourselves by accident, and that's sort of on us. And down here, we have a video from Outside Extra about the video game movies that are kind of a guilty pleasure. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and do hit the bell icon to be notified every time we make a video. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.